Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Chris Davis, and today we're going to review X-Men 97, Episode 9, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 2. So, the X-Men 97 season finale has already happened, but instead of reviewing the two episodes in one review, I'm going to do each episode in its own separate review. I think you guys like that better. Oh, and I've noticed how much Boruto, how much views it's getting. So we'll probably do a little bit more Boruto content after I do this review of X-Men 97. I'm gonna have episode 10 for you guys up tomorrow. So with that being said, let's just get into the review. So X-Men 97 episode 9. So we're picking up where episode 8 left off. Professor X has returned to Earth and he's called all the X-Men to him. The episode starts off with Cyclops, Jean, and Professor talking, and Professor Xavier is explaining why he left the school with Magneto. Basically, he left the school with Magneto because he wanted Cyclops and Jean to have a life, not just be his students and just do what Professor X wanted, but he wanted them to live their lives. They worked so hard to make the world safe for mutants. He also wanted them to enjoy what they worked so hard for. But Cyclops counters with that it didn't matter whether they left the school to live their own lives. They still would have come back. Still would have had to come back to deal with Magneto, Bastion, or anyone else who threatens the Earth. And he mentions that the choice, it really should have been theirs. We then go with the X-Men. They're having a team meeting about the situation. So in episode 8, Magneto shut down the power throughout the entire Earth, which has thrown the world into chaos. And then they still have Bastion to deal with. So the X-Men come up with a plan. Split into two teams. One team is going to convince Magneto to restore power, either peacefully or forcefully, and the other team is going to stop Bastion and his Prime Sentinels. Magneto shows up over the X Mansion or right outside of it, flexing his powers, telling the X-Men that, hey, you all need to join me. Genosha happened. We're in this situation because we've been following Professor X, but if you follow me, we can go create our own Genosha up in space where it's just us mutants and we don't have to worry about being persecuted by humans or having to have them tolerate us. So Rogue and Roberto Sunspot take Magneto up on his offer and they join Magneto. The rest of the X-Men continue on with their plan. So one team is going to convince Magneto, again peacefully or forcefully, to restore power to Earth. And then the other team is going to stop Bastion. So let's focus on the team who's trying to stop Bastion first. So they're at Bastion's headquarters. They're greeted by an army of Sentinels, and you're wondering how on earth are the Sentinels working when we saw in the last episode they stopped working because Magneto did his giant EMP. Well, to answer that question, Bastion is using his powers of technopathy to control the Sentinels. That's what he has to do now since there's no power on Earth. And so Storm and Forge are keeping those Sentinels busy in the air while the rest of the team, Beast, Morph, Jean, and Cable, they're going to stop Bastion. So we see in this battle, they're destroying some Sentinels on the ground, Morph and Jean, but then Jean gets in a battle with Mr. Sinister, and she's having to fight him, and she's holding her own pretty good, but then Mr. Sinister gets the upper hand when he's controlling Cable. And of course, he's controlling Cable because he experimented on him when he was a baby so many years ago. That and Cable and Jean are in a big power struggle. And then that's where that ends. But then we go to the other team. So Cyclops, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Professor X, and Jubilee. they're going to convince Magneto to restore power on Earth peacefully or violently. And so Professor X is trying to talk through to Magneto, but Magneto doesn't want to hear it because he bent over backwards to try to tolerate humans, to try to make Professor X's dream become a reality. And then like Genosha still happened anyway, so he's not having like any of it. Rogue and Wolverine are battling each other. Jubilee and Roberto are fighting each other, and Cyclops and Professor X are trying to like convince like Magneto, hey, you need to restore the power back on. Really, Professor X is trying to talk through to him. Cyclops is just trying to blast him. But we see that Wolverine is able to get Magneto's helmet off, and Professor Xavier is forcefully controlling Magneto, getting ready for him to restore the power back to Earth. Cyclops stops him, saying that the other X-Men need more time to stop Bastion. Because if they restore the power, then Bastion doesn't have to use his technopathy to control the Sentinels. The Sentinels are just back online, and they can be just run with regular old power. Anyway, Cyclops stops Professor X from controlling Magneto, but that's when Magneto starts unleashing his power. He uses his magnetism to magnetize everyone to the wall. But then Wolverine like stabs him from behind because like he wanted to. Wolverine's plan was to just kill Magneto because Wolverine like believes that nothing's going to convince Magneto to restore the power back on Earth because of what happened in Genosha. And Magneto's like the only way that this ends is really to kill Magneto. But Magneto, he survives the stabbing, and then he uses his power of magnetism. He retracts Wolverine's claws back into his hand, and then he pushes Wolverine against the wall. And he's able to control Wolverine because Wolverine is his skeleton is adamantium, and that's like a fictional metal in the Marvel universe. So Magneto can control Wolverine. Anyway, Magneto uses his full power, and he takes the adamantium out of Wolverine's skeleton, and it's bad. It's real bad. Not as bad as the comics, nowhere near as bad as that, but it's still pretty gruesome. But that's where the episode ends. So overall, really good episode. I mean, I really liked it. It was great. Professor X is back, and like the X-Men are trying to restore power back to the Earth, and the other team is trying to stop Bastion. And then we see Jean and Cable battling each other through a power struggle. So really good episode. So that's all we have for today. If you liked what I had to share, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with all your friends, and all of you have a great day.